Okay guys, so I'm going to record the entire worksheet process of going through every problem on here so that you can make corrections. If you have any questions, make sure you circle them, be prepared to ask them when I come back. Let's go ahead and get started. So the formula for the area and perimeter of a rectangle, oh, we're just doing perimeter now. Perimeter is just going to be equal to 2 times the length plus the width, or 2L plus 2W. It doesn't matter which one of those formulas you do. So in this case it'd be perimeter is equal to 2 times 9 plus 5, which means it's going to be perimeter equals 2 times 14, which means perimeter is going to be equal to 28. And this is centimeters. Remember, perimeter is regular units, so it's just 28 centimeters. When you're looking at the perimeter of a square, you're going to be looking at perimeter is equal to 4 times whatever the length of the side is. So in this case, it'd be perimeter is equal to 4 times 7, which means your perimeter would be equal to 28 centimeters. Two same answers, two very different ways to get there. So you can see the shapes look completely different, but they have the exact same perimeter. So for the next ones, you need to draw a picture of this. Guys, you have an 8 by 10 rug. Hey guys, sorry, Mr. Bell had a question, so let's go ahead and get back to this. So we have a rug, okay? It's an 8 by 10 rug. Let's start with that. So the rug is 8 feet by 10 feet. Okay, that's the first thing. You have a 1 foot border all the way around on all 4 sides. This is where people mess up. It's 1 foot all the way around. So this is an extra foot going this way. This is an extra foot going this way. So how long is it all together going this way? Well, it'd be 8 plus 1 plus 1, so that'd be a total of 10 going this direction. Do the same thing going this direction. You've got 1 foot on this side, 1 foot on this side, and if you've got 1 extra foot on either side of that, then the entire length right here is going to be a total of 12. So now that you've got that, if you want to find the perimeter, it'd be perimeter is equal to 2 times the length plus the width, so 12 plus 10. That would be perimeter is equal to 2 times 22, which means the perimeter is equal to 44. Now remember that's feet, so we need to put our unit on there. It is regular units because it is perimeter. Now, when we're doing circumference, it's asking us to put these in terms of pi. That means do not use 3.14. You're doing the exact answer and you're leaving it that way. Remember that your best bet is to do circumference using the using the radius every time. So guys, this is a radius. This is a diameter, so the first thing I'm going to do is cross this out and put that the radius is 8 here and here, and then this is my radius. If you ever have a diameter, the first thing I would do is cross it out and put the radius. Radius in that case is equal to 8. So now for each one of our circumference formulas, circumference is going to be equal to 2 times pi times r. So circumference is equal to 2 times pi times 16, which means circumference, and we're leaving the pi alone. We're treating it like a variable. So that's just going to be 32 pi, and that unit doesn't have a unit there, so we're just going to leave it as 32 pi. For the next one, we're going to do circumference is equal to 2 times pi times 8, which means circumference is equal to, again, multiplying the numbers, leaving the pi by itself like a variable, so it's going to be 16 pi. Again, we don't have a unit, so we're not going to put feet or inches or any of those things. For the last one, it's going to be circumference is equal to, 2 times pi times that radius, which is 3.9. You multiply the number in front and back, so that's going to make it circumference is equal to 7.8, and we just put the pi at the end of it. Again, all you're doing is multiplying the 2 times whatever the radius is. That's all you do, and then you put the pi at the end of your answer. Okay, for this last one, it says find the area of a rectangle with the base and the height. So usually area is given, usually, it is given every single time in length and width. But guys, base and height and length and width are the same thing. So the area formula is usually given as length times width. But again, that's the same thing as area equals base times height. They're the same. They're interchangeable in a rectangle. So when you do this, it's just area equals, it'd be 48. Oh, wait, we have different units. Oh, we need to make sure you understand that before we even start. Guys, oh, you got to make sure you're careful. Do you see you have feet and inches here? You have inches and yards. You have meters and centimeters. All the units. Put a star, put the word units by this. This is going to be so important. You can't multiply different units. So before I do any of that, I can't even use this formula yet. Until I deal with the units, I cannot do that. So always take the one that is the larger units, the feet, and turn it into the smaller units in this case, which is the inches. Remember, 1 foot equals 12 inches. So the first thing we're going to do is take that 4 and we're going to multiply it by 12, which means I would have 48 inches. Now I can do the problem, now that I have that as 48 inches, and I can set it up as area equals 48 times 15, which means my area would equal 720 inches squared. Remember, when we do area, it's always units squared. Okay, for this next one, our larger unit is going to be the yards. Remember, the conversion is that 1 yard equals 36 inches. So we're going to take and do that 3 times 36, gives us a total of 108 inches. Now that I have them both in inches, now I can plug it in my area formula. Area is equal to 90 times 108, which means area would be equal to 9,720 inches squared. Okay, for our last unit conversion, 1 meter equals 10 centimeters. No, it's not 10. It's 100. Centi means 100, guys. So 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. So from there, when you're dealing with that, you're going to take and convert that 3 meters by doing 3 times 100 equals 300. We're going to take and plug it into our area formula. Now that we know this is 300 centimeters, I would take and do 300 times 130. That's going to give me the area equal to, now this is a big number, guys, 39,000 centimeters squared. Now, centimeters squared are little tiny, just a centimeter, just little tiny block. But 39,000 of them would take up a lot of space. Okay, let's look at the back of this worksheet. So on the back of this worksheet, you're going to be finding the area of a circle and you're going to leave it in terms of pi. So exact answers, no 3.14 for pi. You'll do that when you get down here. So for these, again, the formula for the area of a circle is going to be pi r squared, and whenever you have a problem that starts with a diameter, the very first thing I want you to do is to immediately change that into a radius. So we're going to take and cut this 200 in half, and that means that each one of our radii are going to be 100. For this one, we're going to take and cut this in half, guys. Pi over 2 divided by 2 would be pi over 2 times 1/2, which would make it pi over 4. That's the math behind that. So our radius would be pi over 4. Before you do any area formula, you have to find that radius. You cannot do it with diameter on these problems. Area formula doesn't even do one with diameter. So then we plug it into our formula. Our area is equal to pi times 12.5 squared. So that would be area equals, all you do is do the 12.5 squared on the calculator. That's going to give you 156.25. You put the pi behind it, and it would be units squared, but we don't have a unit, so we'll leave it like that. For the next one, this is going to be area equals pi times 100 squared. It's going to be a large number. That means area is going to be equal to, you would do 100 squared on the calculator. It's going to give you 10,000, and put your pi behind it, and it would be units squared. Now guys, watch my math on this one. It's a lot of pi's, a lot of things moving around, so pay attention. On this last one, area is equal to pi times the radius, which is pi over 4 squared. Now guys, watch the math on this. That's going to be area equals pi times pi squared. This is just distributing this 2 to this. It would be pi squared, just like it was a variable, over 4 squared. Now, we can do the math on that and do the 4 squared. That would be pi times pi squared over 16. And guys, when you're multiplying this pi is really like pi over 1. So we're multiplying this pi times this pi squared. Guys, old rules, exponent rules. There's a power of 1 on this one. There's a power of 2 on this one. When you multiply like bases like this, you add their exponents. So it would be area equals pi to the 3rd all over 16. Okay. For the next ones, we're going through and finding the area of these irregular shapes. At least 2 of them are. For some reason, the first one is just a regular rectangle. Don't know why they included it in this group, but it is. So this is just going to be a single rectangle, which again, the formula for area rectangle is going to be length times width. So in this case, it's going to be area is equal to 15 times 19, which means my area is going to be equal to 285 units squared. For the next one, we're going to have to break it into different blocks. You can break them here, or you could break them here. It doesn't matter. Guys, you can draw your lines anywhere as long as you're creating squares or rectangles. So I'm going to draw my 2 lines here. I'm going to create one big rectangle at the top. That big rectangle is going to have a length of 7. That part of it's not bad for people to see. You're going to have a length of 7 times a height right here. Now remember, if this is 4 and I've already used up 2 going up this high, then that's going to leave me 2 left over for this one. Again, this is 2, so this is 2. And 2 plus 2 would give me that 4. So this rectangle that I'm going to draw in blue here is going to have a length of 7 and a width of 2. So to find the area of that, it's just 7 times 2. Plus, we're going to find the area of this little square right here, which is just 2 times 2. Plus the area of this little square, which is 2 times 2. And then you just do the math. That would be 7 times 2 is 14. 2 times 2 is 4. And 2 times 2 is 4. If you add all those up, your area is going to be equal to 22 square units. For this last one, you can break it up. You can go this way, you go this. It doesn't matter. I'm going to go this direction. Okay? If I go that direction, I have a square on this side that's going to be a perfect little 4 by 4. So that's just going to be 4 times 4 for that first one. Plus I've got to add the area of the one on the right, and the area of the one on the right is just going to be 4 by 7. So 4 times 7. That means that I'm going to have an area equal to 16 plus 28. And when I add those together, that'd give me a total area of 44 units squared. Okay. So now we're going to find circumference and area of circles, but we're going to do that using the 3.14 for pi. This is going to give us our chance to make sure that we know how to plug it in when we're doing an estimated answer. Okay, we're rounding the nearest tenth if we need to on our answers. Make sure you see that, rounding the nearest tenth on our answers. So, first things first, before we do anything, whenever we're doing this, if you have circles and they give you a diameter, the first thing I want you to do is find the radius. When you take and you cut that in half, the radius of this is going to be equal to 1.05 inches. Cross that out. Same thing down here on diameter. Since this diameter is 2 meters, the radius would be equal to 1 meter. Cross that out. You're just dividing the amount of the diameter by 2. Once you have that, then you're going to find circumference and area for each problem. Circumference is equal to 2 times 3.14 times the radius of 5. That means my circumference would be equal to 31.4 meters. Regular units, so it's just meters. The area on this problem would be equal to pi, so 3.14 times the radius squared. And when you multiply 3.14 times 5 squared, that would give you 78.5 meters squared when you round it off. For the next one, circumference is equal to 2 times 3.14 times the radius of 1.05. That's going to give you a circumference of 6.6. And that would be inches, no square on there, it's regular units when it's circumference. For area, that would be equal to pi, which is 3.14, times the radius of 1.05 squared. That means you're going to have an area equal to, that's going to put you at 3.5 inches squared. All area is square units, so 3.5 inches squared. Okay guys, let me pull it up just so I can make sure to get the last of this where you can see it. I'm going to try to work over here instead of at the bottom on this one. So this one, it's going to be circumference is equal to 2 times 3.14 times 1. That's going to give you a circumference equal to 6.3 meters. For the next one, for area, it's going to be equal to pi, which is 3.14, times the radius squared. Radius squared times 1 squared. That's pretty easy because that's just going to be 3.14, which, oh, we can't leave it 3.14, we got to round it, so it'd just be 3.1 meters squared. For the last one of these, circumference is equal to 2 times 3.14 times the radius of 4.7. That's going to give me a circumference equal to 29.5, and that would be feet. For the area, that would be equal to pi, 3.14, times the 4.7 squared. And guys, when you square bigger numbers like that, it's going to get bigger faster. So that's going to put you at 69.4 feet squared. Now, the next problem is a work backwards problem. Listen to me. You're going to be working backwards on this problem. They give you the area of the circle. The area of a circle formula is area equals pi r squared. They tell you the area is 25 pi. So you put it in where the area is. 25 pi equals pi r squared. We need to get the r. We're trying to find the radius, so we got to get this pi out of the way. So we divide by pi, and look how nicely this works. This cancels and this cancels. I get 25 equals r squared. To find what r is, to take the square of a square root, you put that symbol over the top, and the square of 25 would put it at 5 equals r. And remember, it's 5 inches, just plain old inches, because we're working backwards. Now, I'm going to do the work for this next one up here, just so you can see it very plainly, because I know it gets cut off a little bit down here at the bottom. So I'm going to draw my pictures and do everything up here. So it says, a rectangle has twice the area of a square. So we're going to draw a rectangle. And that rectangle has a length of 18 by a width of 4. So let's find out what the area is. Area would be equal to 18 times 4, which means our area is going to be equal to 72. Right? So that is the area of the rectangle. It tells us that the area of the square is going to be half of that amount. So if we take that 72 and we cut it in half, that means that the area of our square is going to be 36. Okay guys, let's see if we can think about this. Here we go. The formula for the area of a square is going to be area equals side squared. So if I have 36 equals s squared, what is the opposite of doing a square? You would do the opposite by taking the square root. So each side of your square is going to be equal to 6. And guys, draw it. If you have a square that has a side length of 6, and you're trying to find the perimeter, because that's what it asks for, the perimeter of that square, you would do perimeter is equal to 4 times the length of the side of that square, which would be 6. So my perimeter would be equal to 24 inches. 24 inches. Okay guys, I have gone through that entire worksheet, problem by problem. You should be able to make all the corrections you need to make. If you still have questions, you can message me on Remind, and that's it. Get to work on your other stuff.